welcome back to Japan, where we're continuing our track-by-track listen through to Band-Maid's Unseen World with Sayonakidori, which is track number 7, I believe. So, as always, this is the reaction video. This is the review video. If you want to see the reaction video, pause this, click the little link in the description below, which will open up a separate little player, just in case you want to see the song if you haven't heard it before, or if you just want to see how I reacted upon first hearing it, because I'm about to give you the review, so spoiler warning if you haven't already heard it before. Remember, pause this if you want to check out the reaction. Anyway, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Ready? Okay, here we go. So, Sayonakidori is interesting for many, many reasons. We do have a lot to unpack on this. Now, first things first, I'm going to lay my neck on the line here as someone who has followed, like I say, Band-Maid. We've reviewed every single Band-Maid song on the previous channel before it. We had to restart and everything. I must admit, I can tell Psyche's voice, but when Psyche's not singing, I have to assume it's Miku, but I've got to admit, I find Miku's voice harder to identify. I don't think she's got quite as distinctive voice as Psyche, although she definitely always has. I think she's a really good singer. I know that she obviously gave Psyche the singing role because when the band first started, she didn't think she could cover it, and at that time, probably not. I do think that if she was the singer now, I think she'd do a perfectly stand-up fine job. But yeah, I'm glad they got Psyche, because obviously Psyche is she's like a specialist singer. But so yeah, I think Miku does a fantastic job of singing, but I don't find her voice as easy to identify. So I always think when I hear a song like this where it's definitely not Psyche, I think I have to assume that's Miku, but one day I'm going to find out it's something like Akane singing it, or Kanami singing it, or I can't imagine Issa singing it. Just hear the bottle opening before each verse. This one's water. Sorry. So yeah, I'm working under assumption it's Miku singing, and as always, I genuinely don't research things, even when we have discussions in our Discord and people are talking about what's coming up in the album. I try to avoid anything like, I know that there was published thing about which each member thought was their best song on the album. I tried to avoid that because I thought that would bias my opinion. I tried to avoid hearing who sung what on what song. So that's one of the downsides of this, but you'll have to bear with me as I work on that assumption. Anyway, in that aspect, if we work on this as being Miku singing, I think that her voice certainly has improved a lot. She's got, a really I love the bit she did at the ending. That was great. So she did a stand-up job. Again, though, before we get into the details of this song, this thus far is definitely the catchiest song on the album. Which brings me back to the fact that Rockin' Me was probably the catchiest song on World Domination. And Time was pretty damn catchy too. Now, I find this really baffling because I'm pretty sure that they will not release any Miku-led song as a single unless Psyche is actually playing guitar on this, or because I know she's been practicing guitar, that I did read. But they're not going to release any of the Miku-led songs as singles because of the fact that if Psyche's not in it, you're obviously not going to release a single where one of your main members is not there. It's kind of a little bit unfair. So, as a result, it kind of leaves me a little bit baffled that she always gets the catchiest songs, because these are like songs that I think, if you release these songs, these would do really well. And it's like shooting yourself a bit in the foot to make your catchiest songs. I mean, I haven't heard the whole album yet, but thus far, 7 tracks into a 12-track album, this is the catchiest song. This is the one that I think would work best as a single, and I think they've put themselves in a position where they can't do that. Why? So from my perspective, I'm sure there might be some behind-the-scenes reason, but I think we need to sort of get them together and sort of sit them all down the room and say, okay, can we do something about this and say, look, if we know the song is going to be super catchy, can we get Psyche to sing it just so that we can put it out as a single and get some awareness for the band? Get a little bit more airplay? Like I said, that baffles me. But again, though, credit to Miku. Obviously, Miku in some ways probably involved in writing these songs more intricately if she's singing them, so maybe she's got a hand for it. But like I say, I think that need to redistribute the roles when they find they got a song like this on their hands. Because, in my opinion, okay, it's a bit bit long for a single, maybe, but I think that this is a song that's really catchy. Really love the flow of it. It has, again, that sort of tripleted, swingy sort of rhythm, which such a simple technique, but like with most of the simple techniques, it's one that a lot of rock bands don't think of. Band-Maid have done it before, don't get me wrong, but I think you've got a lot of really well-known rock bands who can go for an entire career without ever just trying a tripleted swing sort of beat. And I think there's the image in people's head where they think of that as being sort of conducive to sort of lazy, sort of waltzy music. But as is proven here, and by various other songs as well, you can get a really interesting thing out of that, and it gives you a different rhythm to work with, different ways of layering how the instruments work and intermingle with each other, and the arrangement works. And I just think, as always, has done a fantastic job here. I really like the fact that Akane, as always, one of the reasons why I consider her such a great drummer. I think drumming, just like with guitar or any other instrument, is about how many notes you can play per second, although I'm sure she probably can play a massive amount. It's about how good you are at being in a band, how good you are at recognizing what's going on in the music and getting the most out of that. And she does a fantastic job, as I say here, because of the fact that she has a lot of little fills, little nice moments into this, but she's keeping a fairly steady beat for the best part, and it does allow this to be a really head-bobby song at the same time as being really rocky. So as always, hashtag no bias, but I think Akane is really elevating the song here. Great work as well on the bass. I think Misa's role in this is not as predominantly obvious, but if you listen, in this kind of song where you've got a difficult rhythm, the bass is very, very important for linking everything together. And I think that, she really, really sort of, again, nicely nailed picking out where everything belongs and really accenting everything right. So I think that Misa did a fantastic job as well on this. Ultimately, though, a lot of credit has to go for the fact that, like I say, great melody, great chorus, good singing again from Miku. Assuming that Psyche's not in this one. Great guitar work, therefore, from Miku and Konami as well. They did Konami. They did a great job of really adding sort of a fun, bouncy feel to this, but also keeping it quite hard. The intro was interesting in that it wasn't acoustic guitars, it was just sort of like turned down electric guitars, like a softer electric start. But it was nice because it kind of gave a bit of a dynamic feel before the heavy came in, which I think was maybe missing from some of the previous songs. I think like songs like I Still Seek Revenge, which, like I say, kind of came across as feeling like it got a little bit on the messy side. I think one of the things that lacked was when you do that, sometimes you lose the impact. And the mix helped with a lot of the impact of this. But this had impact straight from the go, just by starting with an intro that kind of like was sort of held back and then punched, rather than coming in fully swinging straight away. It's interesting. You think sort of coming in with an instant impact will be more heavy, but actually a lot of the time building to that initial impact makes it sound heavier because, as I keep on preaching, contrast is what makes things more impactful. So, I really like the way this song came in. Great work, I say. The melody was immediately catchy, like this whole swing of it. Immediately you felt like you were really being wrapped in this beautiful sort of melodic, rhythmic sound, which paid off, like I said, with a fantastic chorus, a really catchy chorus. I really enjoyed the breakdown in the second verse. They lent a little bit on the production. This hasn't been a particularly production-heavy album, which is fine. The production's been quite good. But I like the way that they went into that second verse with a really sort of production-heavy first few bars. And that was nice because it's kept everything down, added a few extra sounds again, going for those less heavy sounds, again, allows you to pull back the spring to punch back in again. But they did that. It really helped build up a bit of tension and also sort of, take you on a slight left turn. And then the second half of the verse was really sort of building up, and great drum work again to sort of build things up. So that breakdown in the second verse was really good. Really appreciated how that went. And then the whole crescendo of the song, all sort of building through the last couple of choruses, and so just loved it. Loved the swell of energy, liked the whole direction it was going in. Just everything from there was just straight, good, quality rock. You had that bridge, which, like I say, had the little distorted spoken bit where you speak like you're doing an announcement, that kind of thing. Again, that reminded me, I got a kind of, ironically, in a lot of ways it doesn't sound like this, but I got a lot of vibes of the Sum 41 album, Underclass Hero. I think it was partly maybe in the production, a sort of loud, rocking, but quite smooth sounding guitar, along with the vocals, the sort of catchiness, and also, like I said, that sort of distorted bridge. I think they tried that a couple of times on that album as well. So I just got some vibes of that, and I got some general vibes of that sort of, when we think of pop punk, we tend to think of sort of like Blink-182, all the small things kind of thing, but those sort of harder edge bands who did the harder sort of, it wasn't quite punk, but it wasn't pop punk in the sense, like I say, sort of that sort of era of Sum 41 and things. It was that kind of feeling I got from this. It wasn't so much in the metal element of having lots of, I think it wasn't so much about focusing on the riffs and the twiddle. It was more about focusing on just sort of a loud, rocking energy and the melody as well, sort of having a really strong melodic identity. So that's what really came across to me about this song. I therefore just, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how much I enjoy this over repeat listens after I've heard the album quite a few times. If this still stands out as being the most catchy one, obviously I've still got a few tracks to check out. But for me, at the moment, I think this is a song that I just thought to myself, yeah, you know, that's really cool. You know, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really getting into it. Yes, it doesn't have quite the same blow you away, impressive musicianship that you get on those earlier few songs in the album, where you're really just like, wow, this is hyping me out of all belief. It's like, this is the most hyped music ever, which I really love about the way this album begins, especially Warning, I must say. But I think this has a replayability in just the fact that it's very approachable. Like I say, it just sounds like a single. It just sounds like a single. It's got enough complexity to make it a Band-Maid song and appeal to their quality as musicians. It's got not enough to alienate people who may be more casual listeners. It's got the catchiness to really keep you in with it. It's got a last chorus that plays out, really milks that chorus, as I sometimes say. I love the fact they do that. I love that big help note at the end, which Miku does so really well. I love the way that this sort of lead guitar comes in the end, and it just sort of plays out from that last chorus like an anthemic single. I think this is a great song. With all my love to Psyche, I really hope that this gets released as a single because, well, I haven't heard the rest of the album yet, but I think this deserves to. I think it's a great, catchy song, and I really enjoy it. So that's my opinion. As always, though, it's just my opinion. Worked with music my entire adult life, listened to every single Band-Maid song and reviewed every single one, but my opinion is just my opinion. Music is only as good as it sounds to as it is to the person who hears it, because it's subjective, it's artistic, it's opinion. So, I've justified my opinions. Feel free to justify yours whether you agree or disagree in the comments. Also, tell me what you think about the idea that, does Miku really get all the catchiest songs? That's the way it sounds to me. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think they should be released as singles? Do you think not? Do you think they should give them to Psyche? What do you think on this side of things? Also, remember, you can like and subscribe if you want to do the YouTube stuff. I appreciate it. It's good for a non-monetized channel like ours. And talking of non-monetized, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. I have to say, really, like I say, you guys are our only income, the only thing that keeps us afloat, so massive appreciation for that. And of course, if anyone wants to follow any of the other social medias linked in the description below, you can do that also. Remember, this is part of a playlist, so if you want to see us reviewing every single track on Unseen World, you can click that playlist in the description below as well to check out all of the reviews. And a big thank you, nonetheless, through all of this for you getting to the end of this video, watching all this waffle, and sharing this time with us. So, for now, from Japan, until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. Ciao, ciao.